Hi, everybody. My name is Ingrid Vanderveldt. It is so good to see you all. Thank you so much for being here with us today. This is a thrilling day for us. We have some really exciting announcements. It is also very exciting because you are getting to meet a handful of the executives that are behind the global movement of empowering 1 billion women by 2020. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and go, whoop, whoop. And you know, and I do have to just comment here, one of the things that I just love that's so exciting is really, when you talk about diversity and inclusion, I'm like, if this team can't pull that off, I mean, who's going to make it happen? But we need your help. So before we go into the panel itself, love to just do a little shout out, please, and ask for your help. So if you would text EBW, so Empowering 1 Billion Women, EBW, to the number 66866. Again, so text EBW to 66866, and we invite you to join the movement. We cannot reach the 1 billion women without you. So please text that number, come and join us, and we're just so excited and honored to have this time with you today. Thank you so much. So everyone, a little bit of background on Empowering 1 Billion Women, and then I'm going to introduce, or I'm going to have them introduce themselves, the executive team here at EBW. Empowering 1 billion women by 2020, what it all boils down to is a couple of very simple but audacious goals. On the impact side, we have a dream and a vision to impact 1 billion women around the globe and help them start, grow, and scale ventures that create social and economic prosperity for all. On the business side, the for-profit side, we have a goal to allocate $1 billion of contracts and capital to those women who are learning how to start, grow, and scale their ventures. So again, you can imagine with that kind of goal, it's impossible to do without incredible leaders and partners. So we are thrilled to be here with some of them. So first of all, I want to introduce you to Chandini Portteus, who as of today is our new president. Woo, woo! Chandini has an extraordinary background, and will you just take a moment to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I would love to. So first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's just such an honor to be here, and it's just so amazing to see the many people that actually support this mission, because without that, we can't get it done. And so, yes, my name is Chandini, and I have luckily gotten to know a lot of these women. Ingrid and I met years ago doing a panel that was similar, kind of the courage to innovate, and that's certainly what we're doing. My background has been in a lot of nonprofit leadership. So I was formerly the president and CEO of Wipe Out Kids Cancer, also the president and CEO of the Livestrong Foundation, and then also spent a decade at Susan G. Komen Global Headquarters, where I oversaw our public policy, C3, C4, about $300 million a day in active research, 125 affiliates across the country, and then global work in about 33 countries. And so that was a really great place to grow up in and learn leadership, but it was also very interesting to take those times and years looking at what was also women's empowerment back in those days, which was understanding more about breast cancer and teaching women how to advocate for their own health. And so I'm thrilled to bring all of that experience here to be able to lead on the Inc. side and move over to the for-profit side, but then also help and assist with everything I can on the nonprofit side. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. So speaking of that, and on the nonprofit side, so we are so blessed and honored to have an extraordinary leader running the EBW Foundation, Anna McCoy. Anna, woo-woo!
Hi, everybody. So you just want me to take
just a little
jump
intro
in there, huh? All right. I'm Anna McCoy. I am a business. That's really interesting. I'm a businesswoman gone nonprofit.
We're role reversing.
So it's going to be absolutely great, you know. And the wonderful thing about it is coming from a real estate business background with multiple different types of entities, really understanding that in order to accomplish this, we need to be about the business of it and then also about the good of it. And so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Oh my gosh. And Anna's being very humble. You heard a couple of the numbers on Chandini's side, but Anna built an $800 million real estate venture and now brings that kind of expertise on the foundation side, which we are just so blessed. So thank you, Anna.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And then rounding us out is Shaillee Chopra. Shaillee! Woo, woo, woo. She's the Chief Strategy Officer for Empowering a Billion Women at 2020, and she is also an executive at Lumina Health Partners. And again, we keep saying we could not do this work without our amazing partners, number 17, Sustainable Development Goals. And Shaillee, you are an extraordinary example of what's possible when you bring incredible leadership and partnerships together. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Shaillee Chopra. I'm the resident technology and data nerd of this group, and I wear my nerd badge proud. So I grew up, I'm a healthcare technology strategist by trade. My career has been in healthcare. I'm actually been in Austin about 19 years. I'm a recovering healthcare operation executive, a businesswoman who runs a successful healthcare strategy firm, and a businesswoman turned trying to build bridges between for-profit and non-profit worlds in serving the mission. My passion is I'm a strategy person. I'm all about big ideas, all about the more hairy and audacious the goal is, the more it excites me. And my passion is to take the goal and build the bridges to reality. And to bring those services on strategy, on digital innovation, which is my passion, to the mission of empowering billion women and enabling the scale, enabling the outreach and the impact we can create through this mission. I'm just grateful to be part of this family. So thank you.
Oh, gosh. Well, and thank you for saying that, too, because it very much is a family. You know, we now have 33 chapters around the world. We expect to have 100 by the end of 2019. And, you know, before we go into some of the sort of stats on all of this, I'd love to just take a moment to sort of share with the listeners and the viewers here on why it was so important for each one of you to get involved with this. I know I'll just take a moment to say I know how it felt as a technology and finance entrepreneur to be building ventures and having been told the first time out, one of many, many, many stories, that I don't look like, act like, sound like, or talk like any of the CEOs that were receiving investment financing, and I would never be able to get funded. And it's experiences like that that I think we all have our stories, but it's experiences like that that I believe that when all of us can stand back and do our part to pay it forward, you know, that's how we bring everybody up together. And so that's only part of my why, but I'd love for you to hear a little bit more from the team here on what is your why? Why are you doing this? And Anna, why don't I start with you?
Thank you very much. My why is fairly simple. I've had the privilege of traveling around the world to many nations and having an opportunity starting in about 2009 to, you know, while I was in, I could really say, you know, the American dream, which quickly turned into a nightmare, in case you don't know, but coming out of that mission opportunity in Jamaica and helping 4 women start a chicken farm in their backyard. That did it, okay? I was done. I was roasted, and I realized that, you know what? When I have an opportunity, I want to make a difference in the lives of other people. And to fast forward that to now, you know, we're doing our Watch Her Rise series, our entrepreneur series, as a celebration for Women's International Day. And one of the women that we've interviewed, I actually coached her 5 years ago in a team of retired individuals who wanted to do something really powerful, as a women-owned business. And her report that came back today is that after 5 years, they've hired more than 100 employees. And that's like really amazing because it took them about 2.5 to 3 years to actually get in their building, to develop their training center, and then now to be able to do that, that's where it matters. You know, we're talking 1 billion people, but when you can start to see the impact of one woman impacting 100 people, that's families. Multiply that by 3 or 4 families in Lagos, Nigeria, and you're starting to move the needle.
Chandini, what about you? I mean, you know, today is your first official day.
I know.
And you could be doing anything.
I've been unveiled.
Unveiled.
I mean, here I am.
Unveiled.
I've been in hiding for so long. I, you know, so personally resonate with this mission and with this purpose because I feel like I am the product of being empowered. And when I was born, my parents were in India, and we decided, or they decided, I mean, I wasn't consciously thinking about this, that they would come to America so I could get an education. So they came here with $18, and that was about it. And my parents were educated as well. My dad was an engineer, my mom was a teacher, so they valued what that was. But they also said that the kind of education and opportunity I could get in America was going to be something, you know, magnificently different. And so that pretty much meant that I had to make straight A's all the time, and it meant that I got grounded for A minuses. But that kind of worked out in the end because I like to say a couple of my favorite hashtags are hashtag shatter glass ceilings. And I didn't really seek out to do that. But really, I worked in organizations where there was just a lot of controversy, a lot of really public controversy. And when I was at Komen, we were about a $500 million company. And within 1 year, with controversy with Planned Parenthood and the Catholic Church, we dropped 40%, just 1 year. And so when you think about what it takes to rebuild that, it's a lot. So you know, that was really interesting. And these opportunities that I would always get, and kind of starting from to be able to be educated and such, were almost given to me, and I just had to take them. That meant sometimes a lot of people just got let go, and they just said, can you do that job? And I said yes, and then it ended up that I, you know, got promoted or something. But not because I did it. It was just because, like, people left or something, you know? So you just take advantage of the opportunity to learn and to challenge yourself, and then came to Live Strong to kind of do the same thing as well. But also in doing so, learning so much and realizing, you know, this can be done. I don't think it can all be done, and we can't have it all the time or at the same time. But I also wasn't willing to sacrifice being a mother. So I also had 4 children in 4 years while climbing the ladder, clawing my way up the ladder with a diaper bag and a couple of babies, and, you know, I mean, but it was amazing. I mean, it was amazing because I felt like I owed it to the young women of the world to prove that it could be done. You might have a mental breakdown in the middle of it, and you're not going to always succeed, but you can try. And so that's my why.
Oh my gosh, so good. Thank you. And Shaillee, what about you?
I also grew up in India. I was born there, and I traveled quite a bit. My father was in Navy, so we traveled across India, across Middle East. And early on, I had an opportunity to get global exposure to that one common theme. We all have drives. Each one of us have a fire within us. And it just depends if we are surrounded by circumstances or opportunities that can fan that fire, make us aware of it. If we are fortunate enough to have opportunities like I was, to have the right mentors, right people who influence me to say, shatter the glass ceilings, break the boxes in which you live, because possibilities are truly endless when you own your own light. So I grew up there. After India, I went to Russia. I didn't know any language there. I was there for about a year and a half, learned the language, started working there, came to US for education. That was my thing. And started my career, climbed up, straight A. I think that's kind of non-negotiable thing.
Piano,
right?
violin.
Oh my goodness, I know. And then very steadily and very fast climbed the ladder of, you know, corporate world, because, you know, when you go in somewhere, you make your eye on the goal. And then you are smart, you leverage the right support system, the right education, the right mentors, which was fortunate to have men and women both who mentored me through my journey, who picked me up when I was on the floor, flat, you know, face down. And, you know, as I did that, I sort of realized about 7-8 years ago, this is good, now what? And I kind of, you know, did what people do when they hit that roadblock. You take a break and you go travel to Himalayas, which is what I did for 6 weeks. And I came down to really my roots of growing up in India and through various cultures were very, very deeply grounded in the value of service. And I had to sit down with it and reflect upon what does service mean to me. And to me, what came up was really being a conduit for change. So, you know, as I came back and I shifted into entrepreneurship and went through my journey of having, you know, several consulting firms, some successful, some not successful, I really was looking for that bridge between how can we be good, do good, make money at it, and be successful. It really doesn't have to be one or the other. The mission of empowering women, certainly particularly close to my heart, because I grew up in a culture where sometimes opportunities are not presented equitably. And so how do you find your voice, own that voice, find your purpose, and go at it? You know, it's been my journey, and I have a lot of lessons, and I am grateful to have found the family of EBW that really honors that mission of going out there and making an impact. And you can be successful, pursue your own dreams while making the impact. And make some money at it and be successful too. It doesn't really have to be one or the other. So it's just everything aligned.
I'm so appreciative that you bring that up, because one of the stats that we really look to tackle is the fact that, at least here in the United States, and the stats are even worse globally, is that less than 1.7% of women-led ventures ever get over that $1 million mark. And that shouldn't be happening. The key, though, is that women, 80% of women want to find a mentor. The challenge is that 80% of those women want to be mentored by other women. And when you have so few, you know, less than 1.7%, less than 4% ever funded, less than 14% on boards, it really, I'm just so grateful of how you've stepped into serving and mentoring women at scale to reach this audacious goal. Just truly thank you. And thank you for doing it together in partnership. So a question for you, because I get asked it all the time, and I'm like, I've got my own answers on this, but I'd love for you to hear their answers on this. And that is the question of, okay, so how are you actually going to do this? And 2020 is right around the corner. So how is this going to happen? So Chandini, can I start with you? We'll put Chandini on the spot.
First day on the job.
First day on the job.
I know.
How are you going to get the $1 billion?
I know. Yeah, I'm going to get that real quick right now. So first of all, I'm not going to be able to get there without every one of you. So let me just make that very clear, because the only way that we're actually going to be able to do this is if we do it in partnership, and if we do it with leapfrog strategies. And I think we all know that to reach women, we have to be able to scale, as Shaillee was saying. And scaling means that there has to be something to scale. And so having worked in the sector where we sell hope for a cure, and not always having the answer, sometimes luckily having an answer, what I think is amazing here is that we have a platform where women can be both educated and then also integrate with the platform, with the software called Mint Her, to be able to essentially be matched to the resources that they need to be able to get over that mark. So what's that going to take? It's going to take people like large corporations. And corporations have always come to the table wanting to support great causes and wanting to support the mission of a number of organizations. And it's time, and they all know it too, that they support the women that are within their organizations and the women that will one day be leading their organizations. And so to have them on the top level there, giving funding, giving capital, giving financing to the entrepreneurs who are seeking for that and matching them together within a software tool is phenomenal. Because as we've talked about, the billion's not going to come from the United States alone. It's going to come from doing this across the world. And so I'm excited to see us both grow our chapters, as we talked about, from 33 to 100, and then also be able to see the utilization of this software. And you'll see it being launched in April, and that's going to be very excited, you know, in time for people to kind of engage and use that. But I think that that's one way that we'll do it. And I think the other way is just really invigorating our grassroots base to be able to know and ask for what they need. And a lot of that is education literacy, and then business literacy, financial literacy, and just to be able to know also that there's people like us out there willing to support them, that we hear them, and that we will fight for them.
Oh, so good. Yeah. We're preaching from the choir here, but you know, thanks for being part of it. Because yeah, we get pretty excited about it.
Yes, we don't need an audience.
Right, right. We're a bit obsessed about this, but that's because we've all had major challenges, and if we have time, we'll maybe give you a couple examples of that. But Anna, I mean, you have this just innovative vision from the foundation standpoint of the grassroots sort of engagement and beyond. So share a little bit about that, please.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. What I really feel, I feel that when we think about people at the bottom of the pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid. If we're going to change the world, we have to start there. And as we go out and as we have been doing, and we're not starting this. Last year, we spent, one of our other team leaders is here, Linda Wallace, who we spent 140 days on the road, 100 days in America on an RV going from city to city to city, asking the question, what does empowerment mean to you? One of the things that we discovered is that women didn't respond, I want the money, show me the money. I was like, what? And it was like this total disconnect that we're thinking that we're like empowering women and they need to be financially capable, stable, able, all of those things. And what we were hearing is that what really meant something to women, and that's why today is so important, celebrating International Women's Day, is that they wanted to be empowered within themselves. Not only that, they were responding too because they wanted to be a part of this journey to empower others. And they felt this thing about empowerment. They didn't want it to be bullied or any of those things. So when we really took a look at that, then we need to really think about how are we going to reach those people in the world. Boots and Coons did a study around 2012 called the Third Billion Rising. And it was this 1 billion women around the world that were rising up, and they were going to rise up in their communities, and they were going to be business, not the way we think of business, but micro entrepreneurs, all of these kinds of things. And so here at EBW Foundation, we feel that a super innovative model is something that's super simple. You've seen it work over and over in network marketing, direct marketing, all of those things. But given that woman through mobile technology, a content that is localized in her community through her leaders, but having an environment where 2 or 3 of these women are coming together, and then they go back into their communities and they begin to share this information. We've identified in 98 countries, 125,000 opportunities for leaders to be a part of this opportunity, to then literally over the course of 1 hour, 1 week, 375,000 women coming together. That number then becomes exponential. And we know we can do it. There's another organization with the World Bank. 45 million women are meeting on a weekly basis. And the reason why they are successful is because socio and economic reasons. They come together. They talk about what's really impacting them in their emotional intelligence, and then they're actually starting to talk about how can we support each other. And when you see that multiplication start to happen, the scalability or the capacity to scale in a woman that is making $1.25 a day, to be able to then get a loan for $1,500 to send her daughter to school, that's what matters. That's why we're here to do this. That's why, you wake up in the morning and say, I've got to go across the world and sit with people, understand, and just being in the room is enough to encourage one woman to make a difference in her community and to be that difference.
Yes. Shaillee, what about you?
Billion is a big number. Billion is a big number that is scary too. I know there are days when I wake up and go, that's an audacious goal. And how do we meet it? The reason I have the confidence we can go ahead and make this impact is because we truly have invested ourselves in understanding what impact really means. What impact means at the front lines. What impact means when you look at it through the lens of nuances of culture, socio-political, and economic differences as we look at the global market. Because we're not about making an impact to 1 billion women just here in the US, but across the globe. The reason we can make an impact to 1 billion, or I would rather say we can enable 1 billion acts of impact globally, is because we're taking this holistic approach of enabling the social impact through education, through financial and business literacy for women on the front lines, through focus on health and wellness. Yes. Unless you really focus on self-care and enable that personal empowerment, the business and financial empowerment really just builds upon that. So we are holistic in our approach there. We're certainly taking a broader and holistic approach, as Chandini pointed out, on the economic impact that we want to enable by teaching women, providing them the tools, providing them the networks, providing them the processes and the education so they can scale their businesses, in the end coming back and creating more jobs, and in the end propagating that impact on other lives that they are surrounded with. So it really is a model that multiplies. It really is a model where you focus on the power of one, and that power multiplies for this. So that's how, in that collaborative model, in that model that is backed up by the right technology, you know, that makes me happy, it's all techie stuff, and the right data, right, on how we understand, how we not only make an impact, collect the right information about the impact as well. That's how I think we're going to do it, a step at a time.
You know, our hashtag is 1 billion strong, and I love that you just talked about that, because we say here at EBW that one person with a clear vision and committed heart can truly change the world. And I want to take a moment, and I'm glad you're wearing a watch there, because I can keep my eye on time, because this is something I want to take a moment and take a little bit of just a shift for a second, because one of the things that I've often heard, so people watching this might look at any one of us, and we've shared a little bit about our backgrounds, that kind of thing, but it's happened to me where they're like, how do you even understand the challenges of what it's like? You grew up in a great household, you know, a nice life. How do you really understand? And it wasn't until just 4 or 5 years ago, that I realized how important it is to really address the story that women often don't talk about, that you get here at EBW too, is we share the good, the bad, the ugly, because it's from those being down that we realize what are the steps needed to move forward. So I'd love for you to share that, and I'll just add here, the quick story there was a moment in time that I, after running 2 very successful technology ventures, lost everything and became broke and homeless, literally living out of my car. And I was so embarrassed and so humiliated. I couldn't admit to my family that this had happened. I certainly didn't want to admit to my friends. And had it not been for a girlfriend of mine who saw me in my car, and actually Lynn Graff, my best friend, who said, "You can make it out of this." She invited me to go live with her at her house. And for 2 weeks, all I wanted to do was eat and drink a lot and not get out of bed. And they were the wind under my wings. We talk about how important mentorship is. Sometimes you just really need your tribe there to say, you know, I know right now it's pretty tough and you can't see the light out of this, but they're there to be the wind under your wings to help you day after day after day rebuild. And these are experiences that we've learned firsthand. And I know you've got a couple of really good stories. And I'd like for you to hear that, because this is who you have leading this unbelievable global movement. And maybe, Anna, can I start with you on that one?
Sure. You know, I come from Houston, Texas. So we're in Austin, Texas now. Actually, I was born in 5th Ward to a single mother and a father that was there and some. But anyhow, I love my daddy. But I do. But I was born in a community where, you know, in one of the poorest wards of Houston, Texas, right? And it wasn't like I didn't expect to be great. When people asked me, what are you going to be? I was like, I'll be great. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be great. Are you going to be a great doctor, a great lawyer? What? Look, whatever it's going to be great. Because the one thing I do know, and certainly from traveling around the world, is that a lot of times we see people as having less than us, and we assume that they are in need, right? And as we were growing up, the one thing that you find about people who maybe have less than all of us probably, we weren't where we are today. We had a lot of love and a lot of encouragement and a lot of trouble all at the same time. But with that, it really created a resilience in me from being in a position of, I mean, I grew up with Bebe's Kids. And some of y'all probably don't even know who that is, but Bebe's Kids is them bad, you know that book? Bad kids. And I was one of those. And so, but through my mentors, and one of my greatest mentors in my life is Representative Synfronia Thompson. She serves here in Austin in the Texas State Legislature. She has been there for about 46 years. I actually worked on her first campaign in Houston, Texas. So when you have good mentors who see that energy and that hope inside of you, it's a great opportunity to just go up.
And what I realized was, don't assume the validity of the needs you're solving for or that you're charged about. Be honest and be open, be humble, to really look at it from the perspective, is it really a real need or a perceived need? Yeah. And that's very important to do early on, so you are really focusing your efforts on that. And I think that principle in a lot of ways also applies to our underlying philosophy and value at EBW as well, is when we're talking about going out there and making an impact, we really bring it back to, is that really the real need or the perceived need? So, you know, those stories of failures, those stories of when you think you've got it all, but then you take a step back and go, well, that doesn't quite mean anything because I missed the mark on what the real meaning is. Yeah. And I think that taught me in life, and I'm still learning, frankly, on that.
We all are, right? And hopefully we'll hopefully never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Yeah. And Chandini, what about you? Do you have a story of?
Yeah, sure do. Lots. But you know, I think that we all are very goal driven, obviously, and we all have been here for a reason. We all want to achieve a lot of things, and I think for a long time in my life, I let that define me, obviously, because my therapist would tell you that came from my family of origin, and I think that's true. But I will say that I began to realize that even though I had shattered glass ceilings and I'd done all these great things and people could look and say, oh, look how great that was, that I had to really learn the hard way what the intersection of work and life was for me. And sometimes we don't talk about those things. Sometimes we act really tough on the outside, like we're female executives. We have to be. We also can't cry in the boardroom, even though we want to, because our male counterparts are there. But my personal life hasn't been easy. I am the single mom of 4 children, ages 11, 11, 9, and 7. And, you know, that's kind of hard. And I didn't expect to be what I did and accomplished by the time I was in my mid-30s. I also didn't expect to be divorced. And so I'd like to just be honest about the fact that my personal goals maybe didn't always succeed, even though my professional goals on paper seem to look great. So I think maybe just sometimes some candid honesty about the fact that I'm vulnerable too, I'm learning too, I make mistakes as well. You know, that's a life lesson that I hope I never forget.
Thank you. Well, you know, as we begin to wrap up this session, and again, we invite you to come and be part of all of this. If you text, again, EBW to 66866, that'll get you involved in the network. We'll respond and get back with you. And what we'd like to do is just wrap it up with, and Shaillee, I'll start with you. So how can people get involved? And what I'm really looking for is, what are the top 3 things that you would inspire our viewers with in terms of getting involved with EBW? What would you ask them to do?
Reach out to us. Spend just a little bit time getting to know us. You know, our website, EBW 2020, EBW Foundation, you've heard us, and hopefully you've seen the passion we all carry for our mission. And one thing I would ask is never underestimate the power of one.
Yes.
It's a big goal, but it really is only accomplished when each one of us, you know, contributes to that. And how you can contribute? You can, of course, contribute financially. You can contribute by being part of our community, getting involved in the activities, in the events we host. You can be involved by getting involved in our chapters, hosting one, being part of our coaching, our training, our programs. And then what I'm passionate about, partnership. I have my own firm, you know, healthcare consulting firm, and, you know, by the books, you would be like, well, what are you doing here? No, we as a firm, even though we're in healthcare, we're invested, we're committed to making a social impact by partnering with missions that are close to our heart. So yes, while we're in healthcare, you know, we bring our services of digital innovation, of strategy in helping further the mission. So really, partnership. You know, we're open to what your creativity can bring in furthering the mission. So I would invite an inquiry and reach out and talk to us. Collectively, we might be able to find ideas that just none of us are thinking right now.
Yeah. And Chandini, I was thinking, yeah?
Because I definitely want to put it out there.
Good, go.
All right, so because we're here at South by Southwest celebrating this for all those technology gurus and those coders, and especially the women that are in STEM today. We need a technology partner. We need technology innovation, whether it's blockchain, however we can do this to connect the women of the world. And so if you're that person, I'd love for you to reach out to me at Anna@EBW2020 or at Womanac Now on Twitter if you're one of those followers. Our coach, Anna, you know I'm throwing it out there for you. So I want you to connect with us, and of course we can go further, and she's already said that, but the most important thing, that if you are in this space and you have a big idea about impacting the world, you've written that code, you've got that platform, you have that app, but you just don't have the water to flow through the pipe, give us a call. We probably could help you out.
And Chandini, what are your final 3 takeaways?
I would say number 1, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, because as Ingrid always says, it's the one thing that holds women back is the lack of confidence. So believe in yourself. Number 2, look at us as real people and reach out, just as Shaillee was saying. We're all on social and we will answer. And so please use us as a resource. And then number 3, I would say, tell your friends, tell your community, tell your tribe, and join our tribe.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. Again, we appreciate it. They say if you say things 3 times, people will remember. So I will do a final wrap up to just say, again, if you are one of the women, or if you are a man, a woman, an individual that believes in creating a global sustainable future that we are all proud of, that pours back into our families, our communities, and ultimately the world, come join us. Help us empower women, one another around the globe to start, grow, and scale ventures, because when women are making money, we reinvest 90% of what we earn back into our families, communities, and ultimately the world. So if you want to create change, come and work with women. We invite you to be part of this. And the 3rd time I'll say, please text EBW to 66866, and we will be back in touch. So thanks again. It was wonderful to be with you, and we so appreciate you and all of you at the UN and the social media zone. Thank you.
Thank you.